All right, welcome back to 75 Awesome. And now to get into some of my favorite parts of the course. This is one of the pillars or cornerstones of the 75 Awesome program, and that is the power of one thing. And so start your day by picking one simple thing you want to do today, and then write it down on a sticky note or a whiteboard or whatever. Another good thing you can use is an app called Focus To Do, and it can run some Pomodoro timers and keep track of your day. Um, so really a fabulous tool. So Focus To Do is what that's called, and it's a Google add-on. So check that out. Is a great way instead of using a bunch of sticky notes. But I still use, you know, sticky notes, and I'll stick one to the bottom of my monitor with the most important task on my most important goal so that it stays in my line of vision and I know that I have some purpose and point of the day. And so every time I get distracted, I said, oh, right, I'm supposed to be, you know, filming the VSL or, starting some sort of marketing campaign or whatever I'm working on. So, one decisive, important thing that you need to do every day will go a long way. And there's a million different systems and a million different complicated ways you can get into things. But a lot of the times that's just more slowdowns and tripping hazards. So if you want to go fast, if you want to go far, if you want to move powerfully, you have to slim down and focus. It's that sleekness, that power of one thing that allows you to really focus, because that is the essence and nature of focus, is that you know you're focusing on one thing. So um so it's very easy to use up all of your energy in focused thinking, and there are even more traps when you get into learning, planning, and logistics, which we'll go over in the trap section shortly. So the way through is simple. Keep it simple, or keep the way forward is this: keep it simple and keep moving, because um and this is one of the 75 awesome heuristics or thinking mechanisms that you need to firmly install. And there are, I think, 75 of these from the last challenge that I'll be including a large chunk in this boot camp. But this one is so essential. And if you remember it at every point, if you could learn this one concept well and remember it at each step of your journey, you could likely do anything you've ever wanted to do. And I've consulted on, I don't know, maybe hundreds of projects, a ton. And every time there's a problem, it's because people are overcomplicating things, that they're thinking too far into the future and wasting a ton of energy. Or, sometimes they get stuck in an obsessive loop and they care about the project so much that they want it to be perfect, but then they end up adding all of this, like, this would be great and that would be great, but they don't focus on the end goal or getting to the finish line first, or creating something and finishing and then building on all of the bells and whistles and perfection. So it's the basic thinking mechanism where you always remember to keep it simple and keep moving. It's that progress that builds momentum, builds excitement, it builds like continuity, and you test and progress as you go. So I can't emphasize enough how important this one concept is. And whenever you're working on a big project, remember this constantly, and it'll save you tons of time, money, and headache. Especially if you're buying softwares, you're like, oh, I don't need this, or we got to this point before we knew, just keep it simple and keep moving. It is a really valuable idea. So grasp it to the best of your ability and practice it. Write this down. Simple, mindful, daily action is the process of progress. Today, I will make an effort. Today, I will finish one thing. Not 50 things, not 3 things, one thing. You can have more, but always have that baseline. I call them anchors and swing points, where you anchor an ability or an idea or a dream to one definitive daily action. So have your anchor point and never let it go. Whatever your goals are. If it's diet, your anchor should be, drink water would probably be a good one because that's good for metabolism, or, your anchor should be to go 3 hours in the morning without eating, and then your swing point would be to go 6 hours or something until a specific time, and then make your first meal a healthy one, because the first one keeps you on track, and the second one is how you make significant gains over a period of time. And the same thing works with business, with relationships, with developing social skills. You have your anchor point to keep you on track, the bare minimum of what you think would be worthwhile. Like if we're still sticking on the weight loss thing, it would be, your anchor point would be to go for 20 minutes of any kind of exercise every day. Instead of going to the gym 5 times a week, which you'll quickly give up on, it's every day, 20 minutes, non-negotiable anchor point that anchors you to your goals, that connects you to it in a real way, kind of like climbing a mountain. If you fall off the mountain, you're still connected to your anchor point. So, review key concepts daily. And I'll also include a review sheet in the toolbox at the end of the boot camp. So that'll have like a printable sheet that you can go through the core concepts and every day be like, oh yeah, that was a good idea. I really wanted to do that. So you anchor these things into your life. And then what good are your notes if you don't use them? Remember, practice, and become the best of your ideas. And that's how you do it. You anchor them to your lives with something real and specific. And you do that with everything. I mean, it takes time. Like it took me 275 awesomes to anchor in discipline, resolve, motivation, and organization. So, it does take time when you're doing a bunch of things, especially if you're working on like grand projects, which I often am. So, be patient as well, but practice daily. It's that daily practice that's going to really change your life. So don't make that practice a tedious pain in the ass. Don't make it excessive. Don't make it overwhelming. Make it simple and keep moving. Your anchor point. I'll read this again just because I think I'm going to beat these next couple of points to death. Simple, mindful, daily action is the process of progress. If you want to make progress, it's the simple, decisive actions that will really move the needle in your life. So this is a toolkit, but having a bunch of hammers doesn't get the work done. You have to go into the toolkit on a regular basis, get what you need, and then start building. One of the main reasons most entrepreneurs fail is they forget to practice what they already know. So shifting the balance. At the end of this boot camp, you'll get a toolbox with the exact process to do pretty much anything, build infinite energy, and live a life of your dreams. But here's the cliff notes. It's not the information that's important. It's the process and the perspective. It's just like, you don't need to know 50 ways to do push-ups and 6 different ways to exercise. It's the process that gets you stronger. So you have to go through the process. It's not the information that's going to be important there. And the perspective, you have to have an inspiring vision and think that the process is going to be worthwhile. Otherwise, you'll never do it. So that's why we start with all of this building process and perspective and getting an appreciation for the things we're about to do, because flow feels amazing, as we talked about in the last chapter. It's this powerful neurochemical process that people throughout history have likened to be talking with God, or ecstatic states, or reveling in the infinite mystery of the universe and having the time of your life, or just all sorts of ways people have described it throughout the ages. So it's really worthwhile, and that's why we spend time, because the realization of how worthwhile this whole process can be is what will give you the power to follow through and really capitalize on the information. So if you don't appreciate and value the tools, oh yeah, okay, here we go. But here's the cliff notes. It's not the information that's important, it's the process and the perspective. If you don't appreciate and value the tools, have the raw materials to work with, and develop an inspiring vision, the tools aren't going to do you a damn bit of good. And so if you've bought a course in the past, and even if it was great information, if you don't, value the tools, have the raw materials to work with, and develop an inspiring vision, the tools aren't going to do you a damn bit of good. And that works for everything. Business, personal, professional, physical, whatever. Like the raw materials for health, for example, or motivation would be health, because you have to drink water, hydrate, get amino acids and omegas into your brain for it to function properly. And that would be the raw materials to build motivation on, like the health and well-being. The physiology and the chemical inputs play a large role in the psychological components. Like we are an interconnected machine. So there's more to it, and having appreciation for all of that will give you the perspective to be able to work with it, and that'll give you the ability to do great things. And so that's what we're building on. That's what this course is all about. Learn to build your thinking and process in a way that you love, and learn to love the process of applying yourself. That'll give you the energy to follow through, the energy and follow through you need to finish big projects and massive endeavors. So how you think about what you think about is really the game changer. It's not just the ideas themselves, it's how you go about thinking of them and, connecting them together, and how you feel about them, how you relate to them. And that is just how you do everything throughout the whole project. So it drastically affects your execution of ideas. Building an awesome house takes a lot more than just the right tools and some basic carpentry. Let's get into what I mean by that. First, a quick recap of day one. Building your core knowledge and understanding, and reiterating on the perspective daily until it becomes automatic. So what we went over from the first day, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. It's that resourcefulness that's so important in starting a new project, because we always think we need more, and that we think we need to go about it a certain way. And it's all of our expectations and what we think we need to do that stops us from assessing the situation properly and just doing the shit that's available to us. So I love, well, all of these are my favorite quotes, which you'll see a bunch throughout the course, but start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Such important, powerful words there. On par with keep it simple and keep moving. If more information was the answer, then we'd all be billionaires with perfect abs. It's your connection to the information that will move the needle in your life. Perspective is how you put together and experience the world. Perspective is how you put together and implement information. Perspective is the difference between having $1 million idea and having $1 million in your bank account. Normally, people speak about these concepts in metaphors, poetry, stories, and riddles. That's fun sometimes, but I'm going to spell it out for maximum amount of clarity here. We'll get into the riddles later, which probably next lesson we will, because I like riddles too, but it's good to think about concepts, and especially, come up with them for yourselves when you're getting into the nuance of an idea so you can appreciate them. But for right now, we're just going to cut to the chase. Perspective defines your possibilities in a very literal way. So the difference between $1 million idea and $1 million, a study of contrasting perspectives. So thought is the invisible power that moves the world. Let's say two similarly positioned individuals have a good idea. One reads the book Think and Grow Rich and believes that more is possible, and develops a burning desire to better their life and make some money. So if you read the book Think and Grow Rich, he talks a lot about developing a burning desire. And that's really a key piece of the motivation equation, because it can't just be like, oh, I kind of want to do this hard, difficult, complicated thing that I don't know how to do. You have to really feel it in your soul slash bones slash heart slash wherever you feel this core fiery passion of deep intrinsic desire and meaning. So that's kind of what Napoleon Hill talks about in his work, Think and Grow Rich, which is an absolute must read. So if you haven't read it, even though it's kind of an old book, get the audiobook or whatever. It's really worthwhile. So, and then go through the process of developing a burning desire. So you might already have something close to that where you feel that you really want to do this thing or this project, or lose weight, or find a significant other, or start a business, or quit your job, or get a promotion, or whatever it is. Focus on it, want it, feel it, go through how it would feel to achieve it, and let that sink in, connect to it emotionally, so that when you think of your goal, you feel that. And that's where that motivation comes from, because you're gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be awesome. And that's why in one of the first things, I was like, when we launched the 75 Awesome Bootcamp and then the larger actual 75 Awesome, the first thing we're gonna do as a team is go fly some water jetpacks, because that is a crazy goal, and fun, interesting, fascinating, and it has that kind of touch of reality and specificity that you can feel. Like, we're gonna go fly water jetpacks. That's crazy. So hopefully, this all works out, and I'll eventually post the videos of us tooling around in some water jetpacks, or at least me, because I'm the kind of guy who does that kind of thing. But anyway, goals that you can feel that really inspire you and that are a burning desire, not like some arbitrary bank account number where you're like, ooh, $50 billion. That's kind of meaningless and disconnected, although it would be cool. You want to have like the ability to take care of your friends and family, or to like buy your mom a house, or get everyone you love high-speed internet, or buy your significant other a car, or go on your dream vacation. Something very real and exciting in line with your bigger goal. So you want to have your massive transformative purpose, or transformational purpose. And then you want to have your first big, exciting goal be something real specific that you can feel. So, the first one read the book Think and Grow Rich and believes more is possible, and develops a burning desire to better their life and make some money through practice, through visualization, through focus, through read the book. And the other did not. Well, we'll name these two individuals Inspired and NGMI, for not going to make it, because we're being very literal here. Spelling it out, so to speak, and cutting to the chase. So here's what their thoughts might look like. The inspired perspective might come up with $1 million idea and say, oh my God, I just had this amazing idea. And then the natural follow through is to plan and implement. But the not going to make it, or NGMI, says, oh my God, I just had this amazing idea. And then their subconscious kicks in. And this happens to most people as a result of their upbringing. But just because we didn't cause it, or it's not really our fault, doesn't mean it's not now our responsibility to do something about it. Because even though we weren't really the cause of these problems are still now ours and affecting our life. And so now we gotta fucking deal with it. So if anyone's suffering from like subconscious bullshit from their childhood, and all of the weight and baggage that comes with, I guess, the conditioning of others, or the self-limiting beliefs that have been pressed upon them, then this is an interesting paragraph. And so it says, oh my God, I have this amazing idea. And then that gets filtered to an arbitrary feeling that's disconnected from anything real or possible. It's this fun idea that's fun to imagine for a little while or talk about, and feel that dopamine hit that goes with it. But without a process to solidify ideas into practice, and with all hope in their potential already conditioned out of them, the idea quickly becomes a pipe dream they'll never act on and soon forget about. It'll then get stored as more evidence that they're incapable and their ideas will never amount to anything. So all of that is, of course, total bullshit. So it's just a story we tell ourselves, usually based on the limited ideas of others that were pushed onto us in our youth. It's not a real assessment of the possibilities. It's just jaded, limited perspective that if we didn't have, would likely, let me just read this again because it's important. So since I butchered that, I'm going to say it one more time. All of that subconscious programming is not a real assessment of the way things are, or the facts, or our potential, or what we could actually do if we applied ourselves. Our innate potential and our capabilities is really infinitely larger than the vast majority of us or people in general realize. So it's these limited stories that keep our potential inside of a little box where we say, oh, this is $1 million idea, but then we have this inherent subconscious notion that we are not a capable person, or we are not a millionaire. Like, it is our subconscious identity that limits us from the potential. So although we may be in a position where we could, if we did the actions that we are capable of doing, make $1 million, our subconscious will limit us and say, don't do those actions because you're not a capable person. That's not for you. And it's that bullshit narrative around our potential that is what we define as a limiting belief. So it's the jaded, limiting beliefs on our perspective that if we didn't have, we could connect to the potential of the moment and then implement and start living in the greatness of our ideas. So important. When we examine these patterns is when we gain the ability to free ourselves from the reflexive, limiting beliefs of our youth and gain the ability to decide for ourselves the prospects of our lives. So, to identify and understand a problem is to know the solution. Don't let your mind become a prison that cuts you off from the invisible power of the world. Write this down. When you believe more is possible, it is.